It was March 2017, and Matt Schaller read a story about a young couple in Oklahoma. They lost their lives. You guys remember the fire that was in Oklahoma, and it actually burned 622,000 acres. Oklahoma, also over into Kansas. This young couple, ranchers in Oklahoma, lost their lives. And thousands and thousands of animals died. Matt read that, he was moved by that story, and he decided to help. He decided to help those ranchers with hay, feed, whatever they needed. Matt contacted a few friends, Christy Gordon and Eddie Faley. Christy and Matt and Eddie, would you come up here, please, for us? Matt has Countryside Transport, Christy of Gordon Farms in Croswell, and Eddie works for Helena here in Emily City. These are some kind-hearted people right here. They started something that's really special. It started out with a load of hay, which Matt started, and then it turned to 10 loads of hay to take down to the people that were devastated by the fires. And it ended up being, as I'm told, a convoy of 45 trailers of making the 1,200-mile convoy to Oklahoma. It became known as Loads of Hope. And that day, the Ag Community Relief Organization was born. And these three people are responsible for that. So our community is very proud of you. We appreciate that. And the Chamber appreciates it. The response came from farmers all over Michigan, all across. It was overwhelming. And Ag Community Relief's goal is to bring relief to active farmers, ranchers that experience devastation across the United States by assembling volunteers and donations to help mitigate their suffering. Ag Community Relief also supports FFA and 4-H, and if members get involved, there's scholarship opportunities for them, and also just a sidebar to all the great things that they do. Ag Community Relief has been called and described as a farmer's Red Cross. This group has generated state and national news in all of our newspapers, the really big ones and the prominent ones like Tri-City Times, of course, and some of the more insignificant papers. They got lots of national attention, lots of national TV attention, and through that, other organizations formed, and it was kind of like a copycat situation for them, and they started doing things that actually helped them and helped farmers in the area, in their areas, a little faster. There's only so much these folks could do, and it's really been a positive. As I said, we're very proud to have them come from our community, and I know they're proud of what they've done as well, and they should be. They are farmers, they're helping farmers. They've helped farmers from Texas to Oklahoma to Montana to Nebraska, Kansas, North Dakota, and on and on. In a short time, they've offered help in 13 states, fires, tornadoes, floods. Ag Relief just recently, Matt was telling me, raised $4,000 for the farmers in Australia that's going through those horrible fires. That was just recently, right? Yeah. To date, they've raised $750,000.
Wow.
To assist fellow farmers who have been struck by some form of disaster. It's a true grassroots organization, and on behalf of the Emily City Chamber of Commerce, I'm very proud to present the Organization of the Year to Ag Community Relief. Well, you're not using it.
Huh? No, I'm going to cut you off. Don't worry. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to say something? Maybe something about the barn dance?
Sure.
Or something like that?
Well, thank you guys for having us. It's a real honor for us. This community's been stellar. We couldn't imagine being with a better community to have an organization like this. And I personally want to thank these two for backing my idea. And you know, there's only so much that some people can do, but these people just go above and beyond every time. So thank you guys. It really means a lot.
Thank you. And now, Dana Walker, will you come up? Dana is former DDA director, active with our Rotary Club here in Emily City, and will present the Merit Award. You want me to lower this?
Well, this is an incredible crowd, and I think it speaks volumes for our community, for the chamber, and the people that are receiving awards tonight. So, congratulations, everyone. You probably know the recipients of the 2019 Chamber of Commerce Merit Award as the dog people. I just heard, oh, yeah, that's right. Every day, the dynamic duo of Barb Yaki and Frank Dembski can be found on the sidewalks of downtown walking their 3 dogs. If you don't know Barb and Frank, I'm guessing you have at least heard them. All right, well, let me be specific. You've heard Frank. But actually, I really like Frank because he always joins me in the back row of the photos, so that's really nice that you do that. Barb and Frank were married in 1991 and moved to Imlay City in 2000. It didn't take long for the two to get involved in their new community. Since moving here, they have been instrumental in the Friends of the Pollyanna Trail organization. As board members, they help with fundraisers like the equestrian trail ride that occurs every October. Frank became a city commissioner in 2017 and recently was named Mayor Pro Tem. He also serves on the Imlay City Parks and Recreation Board and the Tax Board of Appeals. Barb is no stranger to committee work, as she is a member of the Imlay City Zoning Board of Appeals and the Real Estate Board of Appeals. Just last week, she was elected to her second term as the president of Imlay City Chamber of Commerce, and she serves on the Busker Festival Committee. Both Barb and Frank are active members of the Chamber's auction committee also. In between the committee meetings and dog walking, the dynamic duo actually find time to work. Once they purchased their home here, they quickly began dreaming of opening a second law office to be located in downtown Imlay City, a town they quickly called home. 5 years ago, that dream came true when they opened their Barb Yaki Law Office in downtown. Again, it didn't take them long to get acclimated with their new surroundings as a downtown merchant. They gladly participate in Downtown Development Authority and chamber events by opening their doors and welcoming strangers into their office. They have hosted artists during Art in the Rough, distributed candy during Merchant Trick or Treat, and served donuts and cider during the Emily City Homecoming tailgate party. Their gift of gab, friendly demeanor, willingness to have fun, and if I had to be perfectly honest, Frank's voice, made them naturals as the Blueberry and Busker Festival parade announcers. Earlier this week, Barb told me that they have truly found their forever home in Emily City, and they do not plan on leaving. Barb tells the story of their moving day when their new neighbors saw the moving vans parked in their yard on Almont Avenue and came over with lasagna and all the dinner fixings because she knew Barb and Frank would not have the energy to cook nor probably know where their utensils were. They've been hooked on our community ever since and continue to give back the generosity they received on day one. Besides our community, Barb and Frank have a passion for horses, dogs, cats, really anything with fur. You will also find them at their granddaughter Samantha's basketball games. And if I had to wager, I'm guessing Frank is the #1 and loudest cheerleader. The Chamber Merit Award annually is given to an individual or individuals for their representations and or achievements in the community of Imlay City in the past calendar year. As you can see, this past year has been no different than the previous 19 when Barb and Frank first moved into the Imlay City community. Webster defines the word dynamic as marked by usually continuous and productive activity or change, energetic, forceful. So let's hear that again. Marked by usually continuous and productive activity or change, energetic, forceful. I would also like to add the words kind, thoughtful, community-oriented, and team players. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present the 2019 Imlay City Area Chamber of Commerce Merit Award to Imlay City's own dynamic duo, Barb Yockey and Frank Dempsey.
This has to come down. No.
Don't worry, I don't need that.
And that's absolutely true. Thank you, Dana, so much. That was very kind. We are thrilled and honored by this. It was completely unexpected. I actually nominated Rob Meddy, who's the vice president, and then I voted for him. But thank you very much for this award. We did move here 20 years ago. I could never, ever have expected to be standing here today and receiving this award, and it means so much. I will tell you, I want to thank my partner in all things, my husband. It's been an amazing ride. We've been married now for 28 years, and we are partners in all things. So thank you very much.
I just want to echo that thanks to everybody here. This truly is a very special community, which we are extremely proud to be a part of. From day one, we were welcomed and we knew we had come home. And we owe it all to you guys for the big hearts and the warm welcome that we get even today. I couldn't be prouder to be part of this community. I think we got something special, and it takes people stepping out of their comfort zone to continue to keep that specialness in our community moving forward. So thank you all. I appreciate you all for being here, and thank you, Dana, for the vote of confidence.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce the mayor of Imlay City's husband, Incan.
And that's all right. They'll hear me either way. And damn proud to be the mayor's husband. I got to tell you guys that you know, first off, it is congratulations, you know, to all of the award winners. I know each and every one of you very well, and you guys do an awesome yeoman's job with everything. But it's really interesting to me because when I had the opportunity to write the nomination for Citizen of the Year this year for Mr. Ron Rickard, and I went around and I talked to a few people and I made a few phone calls and said, would you submit a letter too? And talked to some other people. The response I got was, what? Ron's never won Citizen of the Year? How can that be? I mean, people were literally in disbelief. And the reason that is because today, right now, this time is the right time. Mm-hmm. And we'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. The other thing I'd like to say, when I wrote the nomination, you know, one of the litmus tests for a fair manager is how many tickets you can sell. So thank you all for coming tonight. So Ron was born in Midland, Michigan, to Pastor Tex and Mary Helen Rickard. He then grew up in Saginaw, Michigan, until he went to Wayne State Law School, where he graduated from, and then moved to Emily City with Gail in 1975, where he went to work for Jim Morris, the town attorney. And Jim was an absolutely, everybody who, if you didn't have the opportunity to know Jim, you really missed something in life, because he was a wonderful person. And he was, and I didn't really think about this till tonight, but he was the second Citizen of the Year that Emily City ever had. I think that speaks volumes.
Yes.
And Jim and I shared the same birthday. So every year on my birthday, Jim gave me a silver dollar every single year till I think he was almost to his the end there. So that was kind of an interesting thing. Just a great guy. But in here in Emily City, they raised their daughter Chrissy and their son Brandon. And you know, I know Ron's going to brag about this a little bit, but Chrissy is now works at the U.S. Embassy in Bogota and is married to Major Francisco Reyes, who is in the Marine Corps Special Forces in the U.S. Embassy in Bogota. You know, from us folks in little old Emily City, that's pretty impressive. I'll tell you that. And their son, Pastor Brandon Rickard, over here. Oh, there you are, Brandon. I haven't seen you since you were like about this tall, Brandon. Who is works for Ogden Evangelical Free Church. Brandon and his wife, Wendy, and they have 2 kids, Abigail and Paul. So Ron, getting back to why this is just the perfect time for this award, Ron and his wife Chris are celebrating or celebrated their 10-year anniversary.
That's true.
So that is just one thing. The second thing is in May, Ron is going to celebrate his 70th birthday. Also, this is the year that Ron is transitioning out of his law practice. So there are a lot of milestones going on this year for the Rickard family. Certainly, one of them is Citizen of the Year. You know, Ron has been involved with the Rotary, with School Board, with the Chamber of Commerce, with Zone Productions, with Young Life, with Lapeer Community Church, with Methodist Church, with the Fairgrounds, just about everything in Emily City. But I really think, in order to be Citizen of the Year, except for the one that a couple of years ago, I don't know what happened there, but to be Citizen of the Year, you just don't, it's not just a matter of being involved with things. You've got to be that person that does something extra special. And extra special could be different for every person that you come in contact with. For me, extra special is the fairgrounds. And it is at 6 o'clock in the morning, Okay, 8 o'clock in the morning when I roll out of bed, and I meet Ron with his rubber gloves on, stinking to high heaven of garbage. And he has been cleaning the fairgrounds for the last 2 or 3 or 4 hours, and it is spotless. And we take great pride in being the cleanest fairgrounds in the state of Michigan. And it is all due to Mr. Rickard and his team from Zone Productions and Young Life, because they go in there and they pick up every bit of garbage, they clean up every dropped soda, every dropped chili dog, and they pack it all away in the dumpsters, and we produce a lot of garbage. Now, in saying that, the reason Ron does that is to send kids to camp. And to send a lot of kids to camp that he's never met and never probably thinks he's going to meet. That, to me, is that extra something that elevates somebody to the realm of an honor like this. Because, you know, Brendan, what's the story about washing the peasant's feet? I think that's pretty applicable. So, with that, I didn't really think that there was just one person that could do Ron's story justice. So I called a few other people and asked them if they would come and share some of their stories about Ron with all of you. So at this time, I would like to ask Eric Ebert. Eric, if you would come up.
Let me raise it over here.
Good Dana beat.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you to the Castle Creek Golf Course for hosting this incredible event. I want to thank the English City Chamber of Commerce and everyone here tonight for the opportunity to recognize Ron Rickard for Person of the Year. I had the unique opportunity to grow up next to Ron for over 16 years. I can tell you he's more than deserving of this award, as he made a significant impact in countless lives, which is evident by the number of people here tonight. I believe this is the first time the second level of this facility has been used to host this event. Ron has a selfless heart. He could have easily lived his life with his beautiful family, ignored the young boy next door lacking direction, and unsure of his place in this crazy world. Instead, Ron saw an opportunity to mentor me and show me what a life where family, God, and community looked like. I am the man I am today because of Ron Rickard. I know that this is not a novel sensation in this room tonight, as many of you feel the same way. The thing about it is this. And if you know Ron, when he says those 6 words, it's time to listen. Ron always told me to focus on 3 things in my life, and you know he loves lists, so he put it in list form. And I'd be okay in a position to help those in my community. The first thing was faith, second, marriage, and 3, profession. I don't pretend to be perfect, but I think I have those things figured out for the most part, and I owe a lot of that to Ron Rickard. I meet with Ron frequently, and he always checks to see how I'm doing in those 3 areas. But I have to say, my relationship with Ron is not unique, because Ron strives to do more in his life than just my life. Ron has left a legacy in this community, and he has made it his mission to impact the most vulnerable in our community by founding the Lapeer County Young Life chapter, an organization that focuses on introducing adolescents to Jesus Christ and helping them grow in their faith. We are truly blessed to have Ron in our community.
Thank you very much, Eric. You know, when I was asking myself who was I going to call and who was I going to get to come up and kind of give a little testimony on how Ron's impacted their life, the first thing that came to my mind was one needs to be a politician and the other one needs to be a pastor. So I would like to ask Rodney Sanderson Smith to come on up.
Wow. Well, firstly, congratulations to the other folk that shared. You've done so eloquently this evening. It's kind of hard to follow that. But just to say, Ron, this is actually harder than it seems, because the role you played actually in the Sanderson Smith's life is more than just a mentor and a friend. It's been a family member. And so how do you follow on? How do you kind of summarize a person's life in just a couple of minutes? And that really is impossible. Suffice it to say that Ron Rickard has impacted many, many lives. He hasn't done it often in the loud, gregarious kind of way that I perhaps would want to. It's more in the quiet conversations, often very late at night or very, very early in the morning. But the lives he has touched and changed, some he'll know about, some he'll never know, because of the domino effect into the generations. Some are so clear, you can hear the change like in a guy like Eric, and some he'll just watch through time as they change their value and they begin to live like their mentor. And so I've observed Ron pass nuggets of wisdom into many lives. So personally, Ron Rickard has made a difference in my life, and I thought I'd touch on 3 things, because as a pastor you have to have 3 points, right? I mean, otherwise you're not really a pastor, hey? So Ron really adopted us, Ron and Gail at the time adopted us into their family with the whole Rickard family about 20 years ago when we arrived in the States just across the street. I think we did hear you guys before we met you.
Most people do.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. So there's an overwhelming nature of a global immigration and move that is daunting to the least, and maybe Chrissy can understand some of that. When you walk in and you don't know anybody, and you don't know anything, and you don't know where to find, goodness knows, just the grocery store. And when a family grabs a hold of you and says, come be family with us and let us navigate you, everything, including Thanksgiving, which of course is a strange celebration for an African, and the Rickard would make us part of their family. And then even inviting us to different things and making sure we weren't left on the outside and made us feel welcome. In fact, one of Ron's traits was always to make sure he introduced me to everybody in the room every time I entered the room. So what a blessing. Another example, this is just Ron's nature, was we were having our second child. It was actually this time of the year, her birthday has just passed, and Ron said, your wife and daughter are going to go to the hospital. I mean, by the stage my wife was 9 months and some, and he said, you're not using your vehicle. I don't trust your vehicle at all. You will use mine, and you get to keep that, because I want you to transport your wife and your children in a vehicle that's reliable. That's the kind of man Ron Rickard is. Okay, and thirdly, personally, when you're doing life and you don't believe in yourself, when you do life and you feel like you hit a wall, and when a guy like Ron gets around you and he says the thing about it is, Rod, that you need to understand something about yourself. And when he passes vision into your life, and when he starts saying things like, you can do this, and it's going to be okay. And when it gets hard and tough, you have your unwavering faith in Christ, but also you have a team of amazing people around you, including the Rickard family. And so some of those things were very personal to me and made a huge difference. But I thought to myself, well, you can't really just talk about his impact on my life. I thought I'd reach out to a couple of friends on Facebook. And Ron, I'm just going to read you a couple of comments from people from around the country and around the world that shared with you. It says, from Amanda, who's actually here tonight, said, Ron has been incredibly encouraging to me ever since I was at high school when I first became close friends with his daughter, Chris. Through the years, he has shown an unwavering faith in God, and he has pioneered and supported programs that encourage growth and faith in the youth of our community. I'm thankful for his forward thinking and his desire to bring the best out of everyone that he meets. From Pastor Jim Gavardis, Ron Rickard is one of the finest leaders I know. He taught me most of what I know about strategic planning, graciousness in managing people, and the power of vision. He's also one of the most generous leaders I know. I saw him launch many people into business and ministry much further than they ever thought they could. Imlay City and Lapeer County are blessed to count Ron as one of their own. From April Burrell, which is never going to be short, so I'm going to just summarize just a touch. But it says that Ron mentions that Ron Rickard would power their whole soccer team into your motorhome and take them all over the show. He mentioned that something about putting Christmas lights on a roof that nobody should have known about. We won't talk about that. We'll just keep moving. She mentioned lots of trash pickup, and then she just said, Ron is always a person that after speaking with him, you feel better about yourself, even if that was not the reason you're talking to him. He just always believed in me. And there is, Heather Zalke was very excited about sharing about you. And he said he's a visionary and he cared that his family knew and understood that they were going and why. He cares deeply about his family and just as much about his community. He served everywhere he could and gave everything of himself. You can never forget a 6 a.m. bathroom cleaning at the fair to youth group meetings at his house. He has represented Inner City well, and Inner City is blessed to have him. The Rickard home was the quintessential example of an open door. Everyone was welcome and made to feel comfortable and loved. Ron and his late wife Gail led by example in every way. They modeled a deep, loving, Christ-centered marriage. Christine and Brandon were amazing friends. They were fun-loved and passionate about Jesus. When we were in high school, there was never a problem with our long and loud jam sessions or the empty snack cupboard at the end of the night. Ron Rickard is most deserving of this honor. I wish I could be there to celebrate with him. Jenna, who's also here tonight, said, I have the pleasure of serving alongside Ron in several different ministries over the last 20 years. He's been an example of integrity, true servant leadership, and that there's always room for ice cream. He loves with his whole heart and finds a way to make every single person feel important. I'm so thankful for his friendship and love. Congratulations. Mark van den Berg, who couldn't be here this evening. Ron has played a huge role in my growth as a man, especially to keep God at the center of what I do and to love my wife and family. He said, if I don't one day, you'll wake up without a soul and alone. Kind of helps me keep perspective. Say congrats to Ron. Emily Miller, who couldn't be here tonight, said, Ron Rickard is a fabulous friend and mentor. He has never met a stranger and one of the most respected, generous, faithful people I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. He is very passionate about the well-being and potential of the future found in the younger generation. He cares deeply and loves well. In return, he is admired by all. When I grow up, I want to be like Ron Rickard. Jimmy Arnold, I first met Ron in a professional capacity while I was going through a very challenging time in my life. Right from the start, I was impressed by his moral ethic. Later, through serving together in our church, that relationship became one of friends. Ron has always cared deeply about his community, especially the youth in the community. It's always been very evident that he has a heart to serve and facilitate opportunities to enrich the lives of our youth and help build character and grow their faith. For example, he has encouraged and challenged those around him to do and care more. Finally, from Greg Prendergast, always a man of integrity and willing to serve in many aspects of the community, a great example of a leader and always stays positive in difficult circumstances. So in conclusion, folk, I want to thank you for this opportunity to have to share on Ron, but I didn't want to stop without mentioning a scripture that kind of jumped to mind as I thought about Ron and the blessing he is to the community. Psalm 118, verse 23-29 says, the Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Lord has done it this very day. Let us rejoice today and be glad. Lord, save us, and Lord, grant us success. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. From the house of the Lord we bless you. The Lord is God, and he has made his light shine upon us, which bows his hand and joining the festival procession up in the horns of the altar. You are my God, and I'll praise you. You are my God, and I'll exalt you. Give thanks to the Lord, for his good, and his love endures forever. Ron has worked tirelessly for many years for the health and safety of youth and people in Lapeer County, and especially in my city. He has served faithfully on school boards and church committees and non-profits in ways to make lasting impact on people's lives. This is included but not limited to opening his house, his wallet, and most valuably his time to invest in kids and families. In the process, he lost his lovely wife Gail and served alongside him and shared his passion until her untimely death. Now this is Ron miraculously found Chris, we don't know how that all happened, that's a God move, that just increased the passion and pursuit for people and situations in need. Ron has continued to serve and work and find unique ways to develop more opportunities to help our local hurting children and families. We cannot think of a more deserving recipient. Congratulations, Ron Rickard.
So I did tell you that Ron came to Imlay City in 1975, and I have known Ron since 1975. So for that reason, before I let him talk, I'm going to ask Representative Gary Howell and Senator Kevin Daly to please come up and present Ron with his proclamation.
Thanks so much. Congratulations, Ron. Thanks, Gary. Do you want to say something before I start?
Senator Daly and I are presenting this proclamation to Ron Rickard our good friend. It's signed by the governor of the state of Michigan, by Senator Daley, and by myself as your state representative. And it recites a portion of what has already been said tonight. You can't possibly get everything that Ron has done for our community on a document this size. You know, I've known Ron a long time. I'm 1 year a senior. I came in 1974 to Lapeer County to join Bob Taylor, who was the other outstanding long-term attorney. 1975, Ron joined us with Jim Morris, and I had the great pleasure of practicing law with and against Ron, depending on the case. And I can say this, he always did a good job for his client. He was zealous. He did the right thing for his community. And it's a pleasure to call him friend.
Thank you very much, Gary.
I'll switch sides here.
First thing I want to mention first is that welcome everyone to the center of Lapeer County. This is not Attica Township. This is Walm. I live 2.5 miles from here. This is Arcadia Township. So just to correct that, we didn't know if you were going to find your way here or not tonight, Ron. But there's a long story behind that, but it is Arcadia Township, and I was involved in the township board here for 24 years. So I want to tell you just real quickly, I was thinking about Ron tonight, and he doesn't even know this story, so I'm going to surprise him. But first time I ever heard this guy's name was probably 20 years ago. I was a township supervisor here in this township, and we were in a lawsuit. Ron Rickard was against us. I thought, who is this guy? Lapeer, Arcadia Township is split between North Branch School District, Imlay City School District, and Lapeer School District. We live about 2.5 miles towards Lapeer from here. We were the end of the Lapeer School District, so we did everything in Lapeer. We didn't know you guys in Imlay City. Thought this guy's a lunatic. He's crazy. Well, that went by, and I don't even remember how it turned out. I don't think you beat us. But anyway, regardless, move ahead about 8-9 years, just before I went into the State House about 12 years ago, and I got to know Tim Denny pretty well. I thought, there's no way Ron Rickard can be a bad guy if he's Tim Denny's partner.
Very true.
And then I started to learn more and more about you. And once I got elected, I don't think you were supporting me the first time I ran either, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. You've been a great supporter and a great friend, and so well deserved, and we appreciate all you've done for the community.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
First of all, I want to thank the Imlay City Chamber for this honor. I have to tell you that this is really one of the great honors of my life. I have to tell you that there have been a number of people that have come here today from a really long distance. My daughter Chrissy was in Bogota, Colombia this morning at 1:25 a.m. when she got on the airplane. She traveled here for 10 hours to get here. My brother, Greg, flew in from San Diego. My brother Steve flew in here from Washington, D.C. And the greatest expression of love in commuting was my wife, who was down in Fort Myers, Florida, and came up here to be in Michigan in February. But my son and his family over here, my 2 grandchildren, came here from Adrian. So what I have to tell all of you is it has been such a great honor for my family to have been your neighbors for 45 years. And we can't imagine any place that we would ever be as well loved and cared for as what you have cared for my family. So I know that Ian was looking forward to a long speech. but I gave that earlier today, and I think one's enough. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and thank you for all that you do for the community. Thank you so much.